Yes, welcome to today's webinar. To start things off, I would like to show a few slides from a presentation, and then I will continue onwards with sharing my screen, working in a demo team, which works exactly the same way as any workspace that you might have in Seidat. So I don't have any magic tricks up my sleeve that anyone watching this webinar couldn't do. But yes, today's focus is on basic usage. We will cover, I will explain what the topics will be, but we will cover the basic usability things. We have like a parallel webinar every month or every 2 months. I haven't hosted these webinars in a while, so I don't know if it's every 2 months. But anyways, about the more in-depth features of Seidat. So we call it the key user training, where we will cover the integrations, automations that you can create with the integrations, and e-signature analytics much more in depth than we can cover today. So if that's something that you are interested in, you can sign up for the next one or sign up today to receive the recording of the past key user training webinar. But yeah, you can scan the link or the QR code rather. If you're using an iPhone, for example, you can just open the camera application, or if you're on an Android phone, you can just open a dedicated app. It will open up the same presentation that you're seeing now through the screen share. And if you want to see one of the features of Seidat right away, you can open that link there. But yeah, let's jump to the agenda. I will quickly introduce Seidat in a nutshell. I will show a few slides why we have this tool, why we have created Seidat, why we are developing Seidat, and what are the key benefits that you can have as a user, as a team, when working with Seidat. And then we're going to jump in right into the topic of today, the basic usage. We're going to start with creating and editing presentation. This includes importing any PowerPoints that you might have that you don't have yet in Seidat Workspace. We're going to go through how to present and share the materials. It's pretty straightforward, but there are a few things I would like to cover. And then we're going to quickly glance into analytics. What can you see from the usage of your presentations, and so on. We have a chat, a live chat that either I or my colleague Evert will be answering directly or at a later stage during the webinar, but we'll answer all the questions. And since we are here in the live situation where only a few people, feel free to open up your mic and ask any questions you might have. Just take a note that if you open your mic, your view will be not your view, but if you have a camera on, it will be recorded into the recording. Otherwise, Google Meet is only recording the person speaking, so me. But yeah, and then we are gonna send at the latest tomorrow the recording of this webinar, so you can come back to it if you have any questions, or if you don't have time today to watch it fully, or for those who are watching this from the recording, then you already have received it, of course. Yeah, and myself, I like to learn typically by testing. I'm that kind of person who gets their hands dirty and messes up with the tool to figure out how it works. If you're also that kind of person, feel free to use your Seidat Workspace during the webinar. If you do not have Seidat Workspace, you can sign up for free to test it out. It's free for personal use, or you can start a trial for 14 days with no obligations to continue afterwards if you haven't tested Seidat before. I would like to say that I'm a guest host to this webinar. I used to host them much more in the past. Nowadays, we have a talented customer success manager, Emma, who's hosting these webinars on a regular basis, but she's enjoying the holiday in somewhere in Mediterranean, so I'm stepping in for her. But yeah, I've been working at Seidat since 2017. I've been really close to all the customers in terms of the onboarding projects, consulting them in any presentation needs they might face up and need help with, and also doing a lot of trainings for those customers that have purchased some of our onboarding services. So I think I have the correct knowledge on how to use Seidat, and hopefully you will get some new information about the tool. And again, if you have any questions, just hit them in the chat or just open up your mic. But yeah, let's start with what is Seidat. I'm going to keep this brief, so we have time for the actual content of today's webinar, but to get you guys up to speed if you are unaware or not that familiar with what the Seidat tool can bring to the table. So we are a cloud-based presentation platform dedicated typically for sales use. But I always want to broaden it right when I narrow it down to sales, that a lot of our customers start with using Seidat for sales presentations, offers, and that. But they will expand their usage to pretty much all material. Sometimes it's only material that is like the customer-facing material, so-called public material, but often also including internal materials. We, of course, use Seidat. This is the presentation itself is based on Seidat. We use Seidat for numerous things outside of sales, including marketing, onboarding of our customers and employees. We have HR material more broadly there. We have weekly meeting memos, meeting minutes, and all that sort of stuff. So we use Seidat quite broadly, of course, but so do a lot of our clients. What you can do on the platform is of course, we have to have all the basic stuff for presentation platform. So you can create presentations, you can also import them, and this is what I will show you today. Then, of course, presenting, sharing is the core of the need typically. Then what we can bring to the table on top of this is analytics. So typically in sales, people want to know how many times their presentation has been open, and why not even when the presentation has been open to get instant notification from that, so you can contact the customer more quickly. But we don't want to be only presentation platform for individuals. Our main focus is to create this for a team. And and what this means is that we have a lot of tools that grow and help you manage all the presentations and the tool itself, depending on how many people you are in the company using the materials. We have our largest clients are north of 100 users, so they have a lot of salespeople. They might have some other people than sales using that, but just to get the idea that it expands and it helps those teams, especially to keep everyone with the latest materials. Then I don't know if it's an oddball, but we have e-signature feature, which allows you then to follow the sales journey much more fluidly. So you can present the material, you can share them, and then you can e-sign. So this is maybe part of the sales process more than just a feature of the tool, but it's what some of our clients use to straighten up their sales process. Our main focus is to have, like I mentioned, like sales materials in one place, but here are some other examples that I didn't mention, like training materials is something that we use quite a lot. Company decks, depending on if you're having a factory, for example, and some of your clients come visit the factory floor, you might have a dedicated presentation for that. So it's any presentation pretty much that your company might use. Then when talking about the team usage, especially in bigger companies, I don't know what sized companies that you viewers now have, or the ones watching from recording. But the typical problem with when you go, let's say three plus people in your company who use presentations, there might be already some challenges in keeping everyone and everyone's material up to date. Typically the process goes that the marketing team might have some material, but that rarely ends up fully to the end to the salespeople, and it might be some sort of mix, and typically it is a mix of different people creating on top of the same material. And the same goes with Seidat materials. So you might have the marketing team creating the awesome templates, you might have the product teams and business verticals creating material for individual use cases, and then at the end you might have the sales reps creating materials you customize for the individual users. And this all is a tough thing to keep like consistent with the brand, with the message, with everything. And message includes a lot more than just how do you talk about the product. It includes the latest prices, for example, is a good example, or the latest company figures. And in Seidat we have built the system which helps all of these people to keep the material up to date, especially the earlier stages, the marketing team and product leaders, for example. Typically this is done through, I'm gonna share a few names which we're not gonna cover today, or like features. Brand settings is one of them, helping the team to keep the brand consistent. We have image banks which help the people who update the images to the image bank to remove the old ones or replace the old ones with new images and so on. We have smart slides which help keeping the material much more broadly up to date, rather than sharing a template and then never seeing it again and hoping that the salespeople at the end of the pipeline update all the material. Hopefully we're going to go much more into actionable things, but this is just one like bigger theme behind Seidat. Few more close to the ground things to grasp is like I mentioned, we're a sales platform that works on browser. It allows anyone, including you or your client, to use the application on any platform, or I mean any device that you use. So you can use Seidat on your phone, you can use Seidat on your laptop, and continue where you left off with the other device. It's pretty seamless experience, so it's one of the like the end user best things that you have. Seidat also integrates with a lot of different tools, CRM tools, sales tools, marketing tools, and lately there has been a lot of discussion about AI tools. There's OpenAI logo there. We have tested ourselves in integrating Seidat into different AI tools, helping us boost the material creation. We can create totally automated processes to create materials into Seidat. We can use a lot more than the logos include here. If you want to learn more about this, like I mentioned before, we have another webinar parallel to this one where we discuss much more about the integrations and automations that come with them. Then if you're experienced Seidat user, you might have already, of course, noticed that the sales text structure and all the presentation structures can be done in what we call Seidat matrix, meaning this two-dimensional or two-dimensional rather view or the structure of the presentation, which allows you much more control in the meeting, that you don't have to follow the traditional path from the first page till the last page if you want to cover all those main topics that you have. So in Seidat you can build up as large presentation as required. We typically recommend our clients to build like sort of master presentations to begin with, because it allows everyone then to choose whatever they want to present in the meeting that they're having. How you can select what you will show is through this kind of presentation view, where you can see the whole material structure in one, and you can click. It's pretty hard to see from the GIF. Actually, the GIF is stuck for some reason, but anyways, you can jump by clicking with your mouse or moving with your keys to any slide on the presentation, and then the end customer or the viewer can only see what you want to show them. I'm currently using the presenter view as well, and you're only seeing the one slide at a time, of course, as intended. All right. That was a brief introduction. I could have gone on for longer, but I'm going to keep your interest up and go to the actual topic of today's webinar. We're going to go into actually checking how the tool works. We're going to start with creating and importing materials into Seidat, and then on a presentation level, I'm going to show you how to structure the presentation, how to add slides from other places, and how to edit the slides. And then we're going to move into presenting, sharing, and at the end, hopefully we still have a few minutes left, I'm going to show you the analytics and how you can get much more data out of Seidat than some other presentation tools that you might be using. And again, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them. You can open your mic or write them in the chat. All right. The view you're seeing now is just a demo team or demo workspace or to be more precise, Emma, our manager, has created. And your workspace should look pretty much the same. It might have a bit different presentations, but the core functionality is, of course, the same. What you can see now here is the main dashboard. And the dashboard allows you to see all the different presentations from one view. So you might have 10 presentations, you might have 5, or you might have 50 or 500. Our team, we have, I think, more than 10,000 presentations, and every day there's going to be more. And the idea is that we have them all in one place where we can access them by anyone who needs the access or has the access. We can, of course, control that. And again, that's topic for the other webinar. But we still have a good grasp of what materials we have there, and we have a place, like way of working with tags that allows us to find all the materials that we need in an instant. I'm going to quickly show the tags before I jump into creating new presentations, because you might be wondering, like, how can I find my material if I have, let's say, 30 presentations, 50 presentations, or even more. I have here some buttons, these grayed out buttons that I can press, and I can press them to become active. And these are the tags I'm talking about. So if I'm borrowing Emma's tag, but if I want to find Emma's English presentations that she might be using, and let's add in the sales. So Emma's sales presentations can be found easily without me even knowing what the names of the presentations are, by clicking these 3 tags. If you're a team brand manager, you can edit your teams or workspaces tags. They're just words, essentially, and they can be edited in any way. Typically, I recommend having the personal tags, so like your name, or then if you're a bigger workspace, then using the team's name maybe might be a better option. But anyways, in this case, we have Emma tags, then we have language tags, and then we have like general tags that allow us to find then like the correct presentations. I can toggle Emma tag off, and then all the sales materials that are in English should be found. Well, there's actually some myyntiesitys which is in Finnish, but we could go now to remove the English tag and add the Finnish tag instead, because that seems more correct. And now the presentation is not visible anymore because I did have the English tag on. Yeah, we can add tags. I'm going to show you that in when I start to create the presentation or import PowerPoints. But we can add the tags in any stage during the presentation live. So when we create the material, or later if we forgot to do it, or if the tag need changes later on. But yeah, there are 3 ways essentially to start creating materials and Seidat. We can start with a blank presentation. I'm just gonna click create presentation. I can give it a name or a title. I typically recommend including customer name if the material is created for some customer, and typically the use case. So if it's a sales presentation, write that in the name. If it's a proposal, of course, write that into the name. So let's say we I cannot talk and write at the same time. So let's say we start to create a proposal for customer XYZ. This would be sufficient. There's no special tricks besides this. Since I had these 2 tags toggled on, it's going to recommend those to be added to this presentation as well. If I don't want the English tag here, I can just click it and remove it. If I would instead want to create sales, Finnish, or presentation which should include sales, Finnish, and proposals, I could add those in. Presentation access allows you to select if everyone in your team has the possibility to edit, or if someone as default doesn't have the right to edit presentation, we could, for example, give them that. I'm not gonna go into more details in that. But anyways, giving the customer the presentation title and the tags, and then clicking create presentation. I get this information bar here indicating that the presentation has been created, but I couldn't find it because I had the English tag on and I didn't add that tag to this presentation. But anyways, here's the presentation. It only has 1 page. I could go now and add more from other presentations, or just start creating any slides from scratch. This is one way. The other way, of course, is much more traditional, maybe, is to duplicate a presentation. So again, I could go here, create proposal, customer XYZ. This is in Finnish, but anyways, and then I would have the same structure as a basis when starting to create the material. as the previous one. So if you have a team template, or if you have a proposal template, or if you just have a good presentation to start off with, then this is a good way to go. Again, tags, again, presentation access, which allows any changes to who can edit and who cannot. Duplicating it will create it in instant. And one beautiful thing about Seidat is that once I create a material to the workspace, everyone can see the material at the same time. So I don't need to go and share to my colleagues that, hey, I have now created the offer. You can download it here. Once I added it there, I can just instantly let my colleagues know that I've created the material, and you can go there and edit it yourself at the same time if required, for example. Then the third option, to start creating new material, or rather, I guess this is importing rather than creating. So we use the same previously created PowerPoint. There is only, or also ODP as a file format that we support. So you just go in, you would choose, I actually don't have any, I only have customer presentations, so I'm not gonna import any of those from the projects I'm currently doing with customers, importing their material. But anyways, choosing the file, choosing what slides you want to import. If you have previously imported it, and then let's say you add a slide in PowerPoint, you can only import then that slide if you want. So you don't have to bring in the whole thing. Then the only thing to really that matters, and is not maybe super self-explanatory, is the mode, which we can choose from one of these three options. The first one, which is not the default, but it's in most cases it's the best one to choose, is to choose editable slides. And this will typically cause the best results in the long run. But why this isn't the default chosen default method is because Seidat has particular brand settings that you put to the team, and it dictates what fonts, what text styles all of your presentations are going to follow. So let's say your font in your PowerPoint is completely different looking than what you have set in your Seidat workspace. This first option is gonna mess the presentation up a bit, because it's gonna change the font from PowerPoint into the font that you have in Seidat. And if those are not really close, the end result can be quite funky. That's why the second option exists. So that brings in the presentation as is, but the text styles will remain what they are in the original one. But they will be images. You can, of course, later convert them to text, but then you're gonna have the brand settings that are in the Seidat team that you're using. Then if you only need to bring it in quick, you don't need to edit it in the future. You can bring it in as slides, as screenshots. So that is from bottom up, it's closest to the original, but from the up down, you get less editing possibilities the lower you go, or you might need to do something in a different way. This might not have been the clearest answer on how to import PowerPoint. If you have a workspace that you can test out, please do. There's both of these top options. They're typically the ones that you're going to go with. And if you have set the brand settings based on what your company brand looks is, then I would recommend using the editable slides as the preferred option. There's a vertical hand raised, so shoot a question if you have.
Yeah. It's me. I haven't started to use Seidat yet. I have uploaded 2 of my presentations in my test version, trying to figure out how to use it. And I tried to edit one slide, a number on a slide, and it was in edit mode, but I couldn't change the number. Could you show me how to change a text in a slide
Yeah, I'm gonna show you the slide editing in more detail in just a bit. One thing that could be a possibility is that what we do not support at the moment is grouped elements. So if you have grouped elements in your PowerPoint and you bring in a slide with the grouped elements, so typically it's something that you have, let's say you have a shape, a round shape, and then you might have the number 2 on top of the shape. You have grouped them together, and if you move one, the other one moves with it. Since we do not support the feature, the importing will convert that into a single image. So then you have the shape and the number 2 still there. They look exactly the same as they did in PowerPoint, but then it's an image that cannot be edited in Seidat, unfortunately. The quick fix, however, is to either ungroup the 2 elements, let's say the round shape and the number 2, into different elements, and then trying again to import it, and then you should have the round shape as a round shape, and then the number 2 as editable text. The other option, of course, is to create those elements again in Seidat, but unfortunately at the moment we do not support the grouped elements, and it's something that sometimes messes up the future editing of the presentation.
Yes, but if it's not grouped, then how would you change the text?
Sorry?
If it is not grouped, how would you change the text? Could you show me a slide and then show me how to change it? If I press the pencil here, edit slide, and I come to my slide, I can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into editing, so I'm gonna come back to that text editing in just a few minutes. But yeah, now I have created this material, it being in the PowerPoint or the copied presentation. So the next step towards what Ole asked is to go through the edit presentation button here. Editing a presentation in Seidat is, I would say that there's 2 layers on it. So there's editing the bigger scheme. So editing in this view where you can see all the presentation slides is the first layer, and then clicking the pencil icon as Ole asked or said that he's doing, or trying to edit it from here. Before I show you the second layer, the editing of the slide, I will quickly introduce what can be done in this view first. So here we have stacks. We call them stacks, but anyways, those vertical places where you have slides, and we can continue building the presentation to the right, or to add slides to any of these stacks. So there is no limit on how big in terms of how many slides you can have in the presentation. So you can start creating the master presentation from just few slides. You can add slides in few different ways. You can copy a slide first. I will show you that. So you click the 3 ellipses here, copy slide, and then when hovering a mouse on top of a blank slide place, you can paste the slide anywhere in the presentation. So I'm just now gonna copy the one slide view to view different places. I already created a few of those empty slides. Those are those pink ones. The slide color changes on the brand settings. So in this team, it's pink. But yeah, you can create empty slides, or in most cases, what you want to do is use the slides already created in some different presentation, or adding a smart slide. So I can add, it's important to remember, like you might forget it after if you don't find this slide bank feature right away, but it's important to remember that you can add smart slides. So all of those connected slides that your team has, you can bring back any deleted slide from this presentation, or you can add a slide from any of the other presentations that this team has. So let's say I want to add the go-to-market from, what was the name of the presentation? Pitch deck template. So I can add that right in. So adding slides from any presentation, from smart slides, copying them, or adding blank slides is all possible. Then, of course, I can change the order of the slides. So I can drag from the top to either direction to move a stack of slides. And then any individual slide can be moved by dragging from the arrows that can be found when I place my mouse on top of the slide to hover. So I can move those slides around, and then of course I can remove any slides that I don't need. It's not visible in the screen share, but it will ask me, hey, are you sure you want to delete it? I clicked enter, or I can click OK, but it will not remove it without asking first. So to recap, changing the order of the presentation, adding slides, removing slides, that's basically what you do here. Then also you can see which slides are smart slides. So this Fatima Datta's contact slide is a smart slide because it has the top right corner icon here. Smart slides mean that this slide is used in multiple different presentations. If anyone from the team, and it requires a certain access level, if anyone from the team edits this slide, it will update it to all the different presentations. So these are really good feature to have in Seidat, because it's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to also make sure that your materials are much more up to date that you send to your clients. In this example, there's terms and conditions, contact slide, but well, maybe not in an offer, but in most presentations, majority of the slides would be smart slides, because it just makes sense to have like the key slides as smart slides, and if you edit them anywhere, the edits are gonna go everywhere. Yeah, but then let's jump into the slide editing to answer the question from before. So I would click the pen icon here, and if there isn't anything funky, if this doesn't work, please you can ask, and let's check what prevents you from editing. But typically editing any text element, so this 01 or supporting services, all of these are text elements, and I can just double click the text element. So I could just edit the text there, double click this element, change the numbers there, change the numbers there, and do whatever edits I need to do.
I can't do that.
We can maybe check at the end of the webinar what's causing it. A few likely things. Well, I mentioned already the grouped elements. So if they are grouped in the PowerPoint that you're bringing them in, that could be one option. Then if for any reason you have, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate. If you have an element that is on top it might not have anything like this text elements is now on top of the 0x text, so I cannot access it because it's on top. I can then send this element that is blocking the other one to backwards, so it's becoming visible, and then I can edit. There could be other reasons as well, but hard to say without seeing. But if you're gonna hang around till the end of the webinar, we can have you screen share, and I will explain and troubleshoot why you're not being able to edit the element. But yeah, what else you can edit here, or typically how this slide editor works, is that we have divided into a few different places. So we have on the left side, we have buttons which allow you to create new elements. On top, you're seeing the different tools for this element that I'm having active. So in this case, it's the text element. Could be an image element, shape element, anything else. And on the right side, you have properties. So this is something that is more or less like if you're really precise on all the locations of the elements or using this kind of features, it can be toggled on or off. So if you don't see it, you can toggle it on. You can also see the element stack. So this is one place where you can change the order of the element. So if you have one blocking another, it's possible to change from there as well. Let's cover these elements that we can create here from the left side. First of all, we have underneath save button. I'm going to explain save button in just a second. We have a text element. So if Ole, you can also try to create the number 2 again from a different text element. So you can add a text element, immediately write the number 2 there. Then if you click somewhere else, then the text element, it becomes inactive, and then you can start dragging it around. And from top, you can make it a different font in your team. So it's possible to create the number 2 like this. Then we have an image adding feature. And in here, we can add any image that is in the team. And we can create or add rather images to the workspace at any stage. Let's now add, as an example, the map of Finland. I would like to have that there. Adding images is simple, and then I can just drag them, scale them, and otherwise manipulate how they look or change the order or transparency or something like that. We unfortunately do not have time to cover all of these buttons, but you can, after the webinar, check them out more. Yes, there's a question, so let's take that before we go any further.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Just one question about the images. Do you always have to save them like to your computer or in Seidat and then upload them, or can you be quicker like using the snipping tool or something like that?
Yeah, good question. How Seidat works is that you have to have them in the image bank first. We could also, of course, improve how they get added to the image bank. So let's say you would have them as snippets. That could be improved. But at the moment, let's say I create a snip of this material. I will save it to my computer, and then I'm doing it on the background, by the way, so you will not see. Then I can drag it to this area, this white area here. So this is the image I created now. So I have to first drag it here and then have it added to the slide. the reason why it has to be in Seidat, in the Seidat image bank, is simple, and it comes to how you share the material. So you do not share any files to your clients. You do not need to save any files on your computer. So you add the image to the image bank, and then regardless who and where in the world they will watch or view the presentation, rather, they can then see all the images that are part of the presentation. So it's partly reason. And also when you have a team working in Seidat, then once you add the image once, then it's going to be available for everyone to use easily. Hopefully I answered the question, but yeah, it has to be in the Seidat image bank. It's luckily there's a quicker way to add than just clicking the upload. So you can drag directly from to here and then have it added to the slide later.
Yeah, yeah, I got it now. So thank you.
Yeah, good. Then we have shapes. We are going to add shapes in the future, not that distant future, a bit more, but you have some basic shapes that you can add. You can create different effects with these. All of these white boxes that you have seen here and round elements have been created with the shapes. You can change the color of them. Again, on top you can change the transparency depending on what kind of look you wanna be creating to the materials. Then we have iframe, so we can add an iframe. An iframe, essentially, to put it simply, is browser window that you can have in the presentation, and you could have here, let's add our own website, but we can add a website, we can scale it, and the viewer of the presentation can see. This looks funny because it's like our website has a lot of transparent bits which typically do not have anything behind, but anyways, you can browse the website inside the presentation. Website is one thing you can add to the iframe, but you can also add a lot more. You can add 3D images, you can add charts, you can add chats or chat tools. There are a lot of examples, and if we squeeze in a few minutes at the end of the webinar, I will show you a few of those. Then we have a tool for adding video, so you can add video into the slide with a link from YouTube, Vimeo, Dropbox, whatever tool you're using to host your videos. You can add them directly to here using the link. Also, in the future, we're going to have a possibility with some plans in some workspaces to add videos directly to Seidat, so you wouldn't need to have them in any other place. But that's an upcoming feature, and it's not supported in the live version of Seidat yet. Then we can change background color. Changing it will remove any background image there might be, or we can set a background image. This is not very good background image, but anyways, it's automatically going to add it to behind all the other elements that we can have. Then, yeah, I said I'm going to explain the save button later. So saving in Seidat is well, nothing new, but this is the only place where you need to save. When you edit the slide, if you do not like what you're doing, then you don't need to save. But whenever you want to save the progress and have everyone to see the same material, then clicking save will automatically update it to anyone who might be viewing this slide anywhere in the world. That's a brief-ish introduction to editing the slide. let's cover before we run out of time. We have 10 more minutes of the dedicated time. I can then at the end show you if you have any more questions kind of after the webinar, any things you want to answer for. But let's jump to sharing and presenting of the presentation, and I'm briefly going to introduce you to the analytics at the same time. But yeah, let's say this is now the presentation I want to present in a meeting. I have few options on presenting. I can of course share the screen like I've been sharing today the whole day, and that is typically the best method because it's foolproof. The customer cannot miss the screen share, so to say. So I recommend that. But if you have any challenges with screen sharing that you do not have the bandwidth in your internet connection, or you might not have the device, or the customer doesn't have the device or the application, then we can also use link to present. I'm going to show you that in a minute. English is a hard language today. But yeah, if I want to present with screen share, I can just quickly open the presentation I want to present by clicking from the top of the thumbnail. If I'm using Google Meet or similar tool, I can typically select at least the browser window. I don't need to present the whole desktop that I'm having here. But in Google Meet, I also have the possibility of sharing a tab. So I'm sharing a tab at the moment. If you're doing online meetings, hopefully you already know the different possibilities, and you can test out with the different possibilities if you haven't already. But anyways, I'm sharing now a tab, and I can instantly, after pressing play, start to present. I can navigate with the arrow keys. I can navigate with my mouse if I have a scroll wheel on the mouse, or if this would be a touch device, which it unfortunately isn't, but if it would be, I could also touch to swipe and change the slide. So that is the one method of navigating the presentation: arrows, swiping, mouse, or pressing enter, space, or whatever tool or button you've used in PowerPoint, for example. The recommended method, however, is to use the presentation view. And the presentation view, which looks like this, can be opened with letter P. So P as in Peter from the keyboard. And if you're using touch device and you don't have a keyboard to press, then you can click from here from the map of the presentation. And in here we have open presenter window, or show overview is to open it to the same window. But again, it's really simple. We open the presentation we want to present. But now I'm using screen share, could be face-to-face meeting also, and then I will only press letter P in Peter. And then I have the presenter view, which you cannot see at the moment, which is the purpose. I have that open on the background, and then I can navigate the presentation freely. So again, how it looks like on my end is that I will navigate with my mouse. I will click on whatever slide I want to show, and the customer, which you were sort of customers at the previous example, can see only the one slide. So that is the typical method of presenting. Then sharing and the link presenting can be done through share presentation button here. We can create one or multiple links to any of the presentations. They are the presentation, or they are part of the presentation, so they are only directing people to see this presentation and not anything else. But the links work in a really simple way. I can copy the link either by painting it and Control-C, Control-V, or clicking the copy link from the right side. And then I share it to the customers in any way I want. I can typically email them the link. I can share it in the Google Meet chat or Teams chat or whatever chat, WhatsApp, text, whatever method you want to use. Just share the link, and then when the customer or whoever has the link opens it, can browse the presentation freely. They don't need to have an account to Seidat. They don't need to download any application, or they don't need to download any presentations. They just click the link and they will see the presentation. Simple as that. And now, if you open the link from the chat, you can see that you can navigate the presentation freely. I can also change to prevent your navigation by to click the live team, and this allows me to control the page for everyone else. So now the method changed, or the link remained the same, but the control is on my device, and I will choose which slides you will be able to see. So I'm changing the slides, and you're viewing the slide that I'm showing you. So that is one option of presenting. But typically, when you want to share the material to your client, you create a link, or you can create multiple links. Let's say this is for the customer XYZ. I want to send individual links for all these C-level people. I will just create 3 different links. I will create individual emails, or I can email directly from here using Seidat's email platform. But either way, the customer opens the link, and then I can individually control the links. I can see, this is the analytics part that I was mentioning. I can see how many times the presentation has been opened by the CEO or the COO or the CFO. Of course, if I just send one link, I will see the lump sum, which is typically fine. But in this example, I could see how many times the CEO has opened their link. I can also turn on the email notifications on. So if I would want to see, I'm going to add myself. If I would want to see immediately when the link has been opened, I'm going to demonstrate it now with opening the link in incognito view. So you will get the view viewed once information there. And I also got the email right now that, hey, this link has been opened with the note CEO, and I would instantly know that, okay, the CEO has now opened it. Or if they have shared it to someone else, then of course it could be someone else. But typically, this is really interesting way to get the data of the opens of the presentation. So to summarize, the sharing and presenting is that we can start from the main view here. We click share presentation. We can create one or multiple links to the presentation, but regardless how many links we use, we share the link to the client. And as long as the method or the mode is browse, the customer can browse the presentation freely on their device. If I change to live team, it requires to be logged into the workspace. If I click live anyone, it's going to be the same, but anyone, regardless if they're a Seidat user in this workspace or not, they can control it to everyone else. So if 100 people would open this link at the same time and we would have it on Live Anyone, then any one of those 100 can change the slide. Then about the analytics, we can see how many times the link has been opened, and if we want, we can have the email notifications to be more timely in active in reacting to the customer opening the material. Our sales, they use this quite often. They send material, and then let's say 2 weeks later the customer opens it, and rather than waiting for a week before they have the nerve to call them, they might call them right away that, hey, has the Seidat thing progressed? And then the customer might be just in the right spot to discuss about it because it's on their mind at that time. So it's a good tool to have.